This RSBANDB Update Nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update 723. Enjoy.
I mean, so this year has been great because it's taught us something. It's taught us to be a bit braver. So at the start of the year, we did mining and smithing, which to be honest, was amending a lot of stuff with mining and smithing that could have been perceived very badly. Like we were changing fundamental elements of what people know as mining and smithing. But it went down really well. Loads of people came back to play it. That has led us to do things like complicate rework, has led us to try to amend fire-making earlier this year. The councils are also feeling like, I'm trying to give them more authority that they can do this kind of thing. We stopped being like curators of the world and really kind of worrying that people are going to outroar and whenever we do a change.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
To become more like, actually, you know what, if we make a number of changes over time, we can get to a place where we're really happy with a lot of the stuff that's here. We get to a really good place. It's not going to happen at once, which is why we can't do agility now, can't do construction now, but it will happen. But we're just feeling a bit braver.
There we have it. And I'd just also like to point out that I pointed this out back in April of 2018, that if Jagex played their cards right through 2018 and then into 2019 with the Hunter or the mining and smithing update, it would open a whole new door of possibilities for what Jagex can do to ultimately build trust and morale in the community.
And they really fulfilled on. I mean, they fulfilled that, and we talked about getting a string of small wins together, and they did that beginning of last year. And then we talked about, if the big ones go over well, and then you've built up some political capital here, you can do some things. Yeah. And mining and smithing went well.
And I actually just want to...
Here we are.
I actually just want to point out where exactly we are on this, and it's actually amazing that I foreshadowed this. So I talked about effectively building this into a five-act play, so to speak. So the third act would have been Jagex doing something ultimately... or rather, the second act would have been them doing something courageous, which was the mining and smithing update. The third act would be that Jagex can do whatever they want. And, this is what we said. It's, probably something that wouldn't have been imaginable at that point. And, I mentioned that these could have been removing primary drop materials from, or primary ingredients from drop tables, and they would just be able to do it, and it would be able to be done. And then the fourth act, I said, which I effectively called the climax, is that the idea behind this is that they will have learned a great deal about their community to the point where they can read what's going on better than before, and if need be, Jagex can solicit ideas for their surprise update by occasionally asking pointed questions. And, I think this might be actually where we're at with this... at this point, because if you look at it, it was a big thing to remove those materials from the Hunter or from the mining and smithing drop tables, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they wouldn't have been able to do that if they didn't do stage 2, where they built up the community with community-based design. So stage 2 and 3 was the mining and smithing update. And here we are entering stage 4 with the summer update, either to Hunter or maybe even the Saren thing, as we're thinking it's going to be. And I said the final part of this, Act 5, is that Jagex will have gone from having effectively zero community trust to pulling off some of the biggest updates in history, and there will be a whole new boatload of metrics in-house that they can use to develop game content for the next 2 years after this. So this is teeing everything up for the future, and it's happening exactly as we predicted last April.
Mm-hmm.
And, people might have been concerned about the mining and smithing, but it worked, and that's where we're at. So
yeah, it worked, and maybe my only hope at this point is if we do take the full nerf and it goes down to 550, then I think that puts us where, what would you say, like that's stage 3, 4, where they're
If it goes down
making
well,
those-
that will be stage 4.
okay. Then I hope in stage 5, where they've learned all of this and they know what they can do, they hit the other side of the equation as well.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
And I didn't write that.
Maybe they need to get there
I didn't
before.
write that in the article last April, but that's what I was thinking. That's what that would be.
that makes more sense now too. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if someone has to fall on the sword, it might as well be this will be us.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah. Well, you probably, I don't know, maybe you couldn't do it the other way around. Maybe that wasn't feasible.
No, I don't think so. Now, Mod Shawnee also said that Jagex realizes in the past that Jagex has been almost purist in a way in saying deal with it in regards to changes, and they want to aim to communicate more effectively, to make things less negative in the future. For example, given was the Divine Vacuum change. So what does the community think about finding out about significant changes 2 months or so in advance?
I don't think it has to be an either or. I don't think it's either deal with it or give you 2 months
The
of
answer
warning.
is it depends.
It depends,
There are
and it's
things
how you're presenting it. How is your argument constructed?
Yeah. Yeah. And, it doesn't need to be on a blueprint. It's just that you need someone in there who can read the community, who knows when things are going wrong. And when you can look at the internal document and see, hey, this is not going to go over well, that's when you engage in the persuasion game, let's just say. So I think the answer to that is it depends. So,
yeah.
All right. That's pretty much it for the live stream this week. Anything else in the live stream that you wanted to mention?
No. That was enough.
It was enough. And, I will go out on the record and say that, when I predicted what was happening there, I saw the way things were going, and I had hoped that things would have been successful. And at the end of the day, it seems we are headed that way. So I am very pleased with that.
Well, and these are, as much as I might not like where the rates are right now, it's all signs of good things, because if things weren't going well, and they didn't know that from internal data, I don't think they would try it.
Exactly.
So it must mean that things are, in a good place.
Indeed.